going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we got a great show lined up for you. We have a very big update coming from the Federal Reserve that was announced at 2 p.m. yesterday. As promised, the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, came out and said they will not be raising interest rates, which is what I thought they were not going to do because, as the Federal Reserve likes to do, they like to kick the can down the road and let the next generation deal with the pains of inflation, and whenever that happens, that naturally is going to lead people to looking for assets that are inflation hardened, such as Bitcoin. So you may have noticed Bitcoin jumped quite a bit yesterday, and so too did Ethereum. Ethereum's trading above $4,000, and both of those rallies started right after that news came out. We're going to be talking about why Bitcoin could be going to $53,000 right around the corner, because if it does, we might be ready for that rally that we've been talking about was going to happen in a week and a half relatively soon. We're going to be going over Bitcoin in today's show. We're also going to be going over Ethereum, and we've got a couple of very important on-chain metrics that we're going to be looking at, and some really interesting technical data that we're going to be bringing you about the last 6 months on Bitcoin. But today, I am joined by a very special crew, starting off with Mr. T.A. Tim himself. How you doing, Tim?
What's up, everybody? I'm excited. Today's going to be a good show, but also, you're going to see in the camera angles, we are starting to move the set around. So, while I still have my good blank wall here, here soon, it's going to be looking pretty spiffy, but I know we're about to shoot to some other people. You're going to see Smay's angle look very different, and another table that looks very different.
Indeed.
That is already new.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring Smay in first. Smay, how you doing, buddy? Did you guys work out this morning? Did you guys go to the gym this morning?
No,
did not.
No, I didn't either. I'm going tomorrow.
But I have to say something, guys. Today is going to be the greatest day of my life. And you know why today is going to be the greatest day of my life? Because Spider-Man No Way Home comes out today, and I'm going to go watch it, and I am so excited to watch it. Right now, I think as of, for the first couple of days, it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Holy cow.
So I'm pretty excited. Apparently the hype has been met, and I'm excited to see it. Anyways, I just wanted to say that, but I also want to take a moment real quick to shout out some members. I would like to shout out Mike the Humble Swede, Christopher McFarland, and Alexandre Ignacio. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for being members and supporting the channel.
Shout out to all of our amazing members. Thank you guys so very much. But I do have a couple more people to introduce. We have the Table of Two Tailors, which right now is only fulfilled by one tailor, but also by Kelly, who just flew in from New York. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great, man. So happy to be here and honored to be working with you all. And finally, we've been working for months together over Zoom. So it's wonderful. We've all joked about it here in office. It's interesting to see everybody in person, face to face, height to height. So it's a pleasure to be here. And the market's starting to move. So what else can we ask for?
Yeah, Kelly, you came down to Florida and brought the high prices with you. So.
Yeah, that's for real.
The price.
Yeah. You brought the high prices from New York with you. That's what it was.
Yeah, he came down, but the price went up. It's a Kelly.
It's an inverse correlation, is what it is.
Yeah. It's that stifling.
It's
New
a
York
Kelly
City
divergence.
Bitcoin regulation.
It's a Kelly divergence.
I pulled it all off.
Well, we gotta say hi to T. Shroom also. Hi, T. Shroom. What's up?
What's up, guys? It's awesome to be here. It's awesome to have Kelly right by me, keeping me warm. TA Tim got to bang on the wall, so I'm going to do that a little bit.
There you go.
Too.
Yeah.
It's a good clean wall here.
Yes.
Boom sauce. Well, guys, shout out to our research team, which is now on camera. Pretty awesome. Kelly's going to be down here in town for the next 2 weeks or so. Drop a 1 in chat if you were excited for the amazing crew that we have being built here. And by the way, make sure to go follow our two researching gentlemen over on Twitter. Guys, where are your Twitters? Where can you guys be found?
Go ahead. T-Shroom. At T-Shroom.
Boom sauce.
And I'm at Kelly Kellum, Kelly Kellam.
There you go,
Very
guys.
simple.
They are constantly posting a lot of amazing things. If you want to find where we get a lot of our research done, because, I kind of got to run the company, so I need a little bit of help on that. These two gentlemen are fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to talking with them today. But what are we going to be talking about today? As I said, we're going to be discussing the Federal Reserve. We're going to go through our technical analysis on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but then at the end of the show, we're going to be discussing the Federal Reserve, their policy decisions, and more, because you guys may not realize how important the Federal Reserve's decision is, because you might make the argument, oh, well, they're probably going to meet in 3 months again, and then we're going to have the same thing happen. But here's the thing. We have now been so far removed from the beginning of what happened last year, which happened in March of 2020, which I can't say on YouTube because I don't want to get my YouTube channel taken down. But we're over 18 months on from that, and we're still keeping Federal Reserve federal funds rates slammed to the floor. I have a feeling that's going to stay that way. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but the reason we've talked about it for 3 days in a row is because it is actually one of the biggest deals for Bitcoin. Because why does Bitcoin have value? Because the US dollar is losing it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up CoinMarketCap, and then we're going to jump straight into our market watch here, our market pulse. So let's go ahead and jump onto CoinMarketCap, guys. Let's take a look at the top 10. As you can see, we actually do have some green in the top 10. Solana being one of the biggest. Bitcoin's up 2.5%. Ethereum's up 7%. Just jumped quite a bit in just the last couple of seconds. We saw that come in live. Binance Coin's up 4.5%. We talked about yesterday how I personally believe that Ethereum was going to drop a little bit lower, and I thought Binance Coin would as well. I'll be honest with you guys, I did not expect Ethereum to have such a big rally on this Fed news. That was interesting to me. I would have expected Bitcoin to be the one to jump from that, but Ethereum does look like it's currently sitting up around $4,073. We're going to discuss whether or not this is a short-lived rally or if it will continue here in just a little bit when we get onto those coins. Solana being up 15% is very exciting. I told you guys yesterday $150, which is where it was trading. I think it was at 153 yesterday when we were live, was probably a good place to buy because, one, it could be the bottom, and if you buy down here, then it's probably going to be you buying the dip. But two, if it goes lower, then there were other levels that we could bring up. If you want to see my analysis on Solana, you can go back to the market pulse of yesterday's live stream and take a look at that. Taking a look at the biggest gainers and losers here, you can see Kadena is up here at plus 37%. This project is one we're going to have to look into a little bit more because it is always in either the biggest gainer position or the biggest loser position. For the last 2 weeks in a row, it has been either one of the top 3 biggest gainers or one of the top 3 biggest losers. And as you guys know, trading is not a game of riding the market to the upside or riding the market to the downside in a short. Trading is a game of taking advantage of volatility. Investment is a game of riding those long-term bull and bear market cycles. Kadena very much seems like a cryptocurrency that might be interesting to trade, and we might talk about that a little bit more later. Bora, Arweave, Helium, Elrond are all up about 20%, and as you can see, there has been a very large bounce in the market. Even Avalanche is up 20%, which I'm very happy about because I bought, I'm not going to say the number, but quite a bit of Avalanche a while back, and I'm very excited because it is up quite a lot. Taking a look here at the biggest losers, we can see there's only a few of them that are in the negative here. Tether and USD coin being 2 of them, which is, stablecoin doesn't count. Near Protocol and OKB are a couple of the biggest losers as well. I want to throw it over to the research table. Kelly, let's start with you. What are some of the cryptocurrencies in the top 100 that you are paying close attention to right now?
Well, I've been loving for the last over a year and a half eGold, Elrond, also Avalanche is. I mean, when we basically dove into that project together for one of the
yeah, we both invested in it like at the same time, didn't we? I think we did.
We invested at the same time, but also I was already a little bit layered into it, but I keep stacking into it because once I really dove into a lot of the fundamentals and the back end of what it really was aiming to do, and the entire makeup of its entire process and blockchain, I just couldn't believe how incredibly well this blockchain was developed, and so I've been really diving into that. Also, I mean, I can never stop, with Bitcoin and Ethereum, of course, because those are solid. Cardano has been testing my patience or any of my thoughts of knowledge on TA, but I think that's the point of this market. Some coins will be very, very strong players within exact market structures and patterns that you think, but a lot of times there will be coins that just completely go sideways longer than you could ever imagine, and you just got to stick with it. And I still believe Cardano is going to be a huge winner in the long run.
You have an awesome tattoo in your arm. Can you show the camera that, Kelly? I love that tattoo, man. What is that?
Well, thank you. This is actually like needlepoint, like bamboo style. Got this while I was in Thailand.
That's awesome.
This is actually the flower of life, and then this is the Japanese flower of life. My wife is Japanese as well, so
that's so cool.
Which is in a way prophetic because this happened 3 or 4 years before her and I had ever even met. So that's just kind of how it is. That, and then this one's just a microphone from back in the days when I was doing singer-songwriting stuff. And
that is so cool. No, Kelly told me on set yesterday, and then I want to ask T-Shirt a question. Kelly told me on set yesterday because I was singing a song from James Taylor. Drop a 1 in chat if you like him. He's like, yeah, I was in the studio one time in New York, and I was just like, oh, hey, there's James Taylor. And then I was singing and recording a song, and I looked over, and then, oh, look, there's Paul McCartney. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Kelly clearly has gotten around. He's been singer-songwriter, got all kinds of crazy stuff. Go check out his Twitter. Guys, T-Shrimp, I want to ask you a question here. What do you think is the better project, Solana or Avalanche? Because there is a massive debate going on right now. I think Cointelegraph posted on Twitter yesterday, like for Avalanche, or retweet for Avalanche, like for Solana, and it was neck and neck. It was like 730 to 740. Apparently, there's a lot of debate going on there. Which one, have you done a lot of research in them? Have you picked a side? I'm in Avalanche, I'm not in Solana, so I guess my side is chosen.
Those two names have not really been on my radar from a research perspective super heavy, but just from like a brand awareness standpoint, I'd have to say Solana Solana is kind of pulling ahead from a price perspective. Obviously, I think Avalanche is doing better today and has done better, but I think they're both great projects, and I'd like to see how they move forward.
Good deal. Well, let's go ahead and check in with the chat here for a couple of minutes. Guys, hit that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 1,000 likes. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. We're only 10 minutes in. We've already got almost 2,000 people watching. Let's read a couple of those super chats, and we're going to dive straight into some Bitcoin here in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think we only have 2 unless I missed something, which I don't think I did. Yeah, because Taylor's at home getting these all set up. But K Money is the first one I see here saying, I heard someone say generosity is passé. Is that how you pronounce that?
I think that's right. Yeah, it's French.
What an ignorant belief.
I totally agree, man. I really appreciate you showing the generosity of that super chat. Generosity, I think, is one of the biggest things that we're called to. It is one of the fruits of the Spirit, after all, and it is something that I think we very much as a channel hold very close because I'll be honest with you, I see a lot of greed in cryptocurrency, and one of the things that our channel stands for, and one of the reasons why you should watch this channel, is because we are constantly trying to promote the concept of generosity, because there's a lot of money in crypto, and there's a lot of good that we can do with it. So I completely agree with you, K Money. Thank you for that super chat.
Another one from Mike Markle said, just pumped that Kelly is in studio.
Heck yeah, man.
We all are.
We are all very pumped that he is in.
And I see one just popped up in chat from John Billcliffe saying, Harmony won over them both. Hi to all.
Hello to them all. Let's throw it to the research table. Who do you think is more value? What do you think is better, Harmony One, AVAX, or Solana?
I'm AVAX all the way, but Solana's great. I just don't like the decentralized nature of it. Harmony One.
You mean the centralized nature of it?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the lack of decentralization. And Harmony, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it for years, and just like any product or anything, and just it hadn't really captured my attention that stuck out that made me really want to look into it more. So that being said, I should probably look into it more.
Yeah, well, let me ask you guys one more question here. What is the... I lost the question. What was I going to say? Actually, go ahead and read that super chat from Greg.
Well, yeah, we just got one from Greg Gressick,
yeah,
who might be in the office somewhere.
He might be in office somewhere. We got a bunch of them coming in.
He just said, welcome, Kelly. Here's an energy drink.
No, here's an energy drink, actually. Today's show is not brought to you by Monster, but my energy most certainly is.
Hey. Famukify.
Boom sauce.
Famukify.
Hey, if anything's giving us energy is us, and we'll go into it in a bit here when we go into the technical analysis, but the fact that we're finally getting a little bit of that bullish buoyness
Heck yeah, man.
pushing us up. So that's energy if I can't say anything else. For real. Sure.
And to just balance out the brands here, we got
rain. Yeah, there you go.
Making it rain over this table.
Famukify just said, hey guys, can you explain Bitcoin halving? Great show, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So a Bitcoin halving is basically whenever something called the block reward on Bitcoin mining gets cut in half. So what does that mean? Well, the way that new Bitcoin is generated is through a process called mining. That is whenever computers such as this one, or normally specialized computers that are purpose-built for the process, they mine Bitcoin by randomly guessing and checking things in something called a hashing algorithm. And the thing that you need to know, for the sake of your question, because I don't want to go into it for 30 minutes, a Bitcoin halving is whenever the block reward, so the reward for mining, is cut in half. It happens about every 4 years. And as a result of that, the increase in the supply of Bitcoin will inverse asymptotically approach 21 million. So we're sitting at about 19 million Bitcoin right now. As a result of those halvings, the new Bitcoin being injected into the cryptocurrency space slows down quite a bit.
Sweet.
Cool beans. Well, let's go ahead and jump here. Actually, we got one more. Let's go ahead and read that last one.
Quantier.
Quantier. We might have time for that.
From Victor Sadovic.
We may have time for that at the end of the show. We need to get like a list of, drop the altcoin that you would like to see TA on. Go ahead. I'll give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Then we're going to put you in timeout. Keep going. No, I'm kidding. 30 seconds. Spam the chat. What altcoin would you like to see in tomorrow's stream? Because we do try and bring you guys more altcoin content. But while you guys are doing that, let's go ahead and get started on our Bitcoin TA. We got a lot of updates we need to bring to you guys. And the first thing I want to show you is a tweet over here from Andy Jack Crypto. Make sure to go follow him on Twitter. He's got some really cool stuff. It looks like hashtag Bitcoin is on the verge of a potential reversal, looking at the daily RSI breaking resistance of lower highs. This is exactly what I've been telling you guys. Number one, RSI right now is sitting at the lowest level on Bitcoin that it has been at in a very, very long time. I want to see his retweet. I want to see his tweet over here get to 150 retweets. It's at 107. Go retweet this. It's over at Andy Jack Crypto 1990. You can see that there are some downtrends on Bitcoin here in the last 3 market cycles. We're going to be looking at all 3 of those today. trying to come to a conclusion on whether or not Bitcoin is getting to the end of it. We're going to be comparing them and contrasting them here in just a second, but take a look here at the RSI and the downtrends on the RSI. We're currently in the process of breaking it, and that's going to lead us into the beginning of our technical analysis. You can see the downtrend that forms on Bitcoin right over here, and right now, this downtrending level of resistance is sitting right around $52,000 to $53,000. If you're wondering, Jebb, where is that $53,000 number coming from in the title? Because we don't just put a number in the title unless there's a reason. The $53,000 number on Bitcoin is really the beginning of the zone that we need to get above if we can start to become bullish. And based on what we saw coming out of Andy Jack Crypto right here, if we were to see Bitcoin start to break the downtrend that it is under, similarly to what we saw right here, or you could even draw it right here, and then also here on this previous downtrend, if we're able to break this downtrend, which would have to have Bitcoin get above $50,000, really up to 53 to have confirmation, then we would be sitting pretty and hopefully getting ready for some kind of rally. But of course, time will tell on when exactly that will occur. But what I can tell you is I'm extremely confident that it will occur in the next month. If we take a look here at the RSI, basically what he is saying in his tweet here is that in the same way that on these two previous corrections, RSI broke a downtrend, RSI right now is in the process of breaking a downtrend. Now, on his tweet, he shows that it looks like we're breaking the downtrend on RSI. I think he's fibbing a little bit, to be honest with you. I don't quite think that we've broken it just yet. The reason I would say that is because I would kind of try and draw a line of best fit between all of these highs, and if I did that, I would say that we're right there. I don't think we've quite broken it yet, but I think we probably will in the next couple of days, so long as Bitcoin maintains above $47,000. The point, however, is this. Bitcoin right now is primed and ready for a relatively large rally if it is able to break these downtrends. So let's try and figure out if that's what's going to take place. How did Bitcoin break these uptrends, these downtrending levels of resistance in the last two corrections? Because if we can figure out how it happened last time, then maybe we can figure out how it'll happen this time. That is called historical analysis. You may also hear it be referred to as back analysis. We're looking at the history to try and figure out what the trend is so that we may then be able to predict what the next movement of the market will be so that we can make a trade based off of it. How did Bitcoin get out of these downtrends previously? Well, first and foremost, obviously, they broke the price downtrend. That is the one thing that you can see very simply, but it is important that we are aware of it. For Bitcoin to do that, it would need to, at current prices, get above about $51,700. But if we keep going to the downside, it's going to be easier for Bitcoin to get above that downtrend because one of the things you may notice is that of these three downtrends, this is actually one of the steepest. It is about as steep as this one right over here, and we've been under it for longer. So there's, in my opinion, quite a bit of long-term pent-up bullish buying pressure that we have not seen come to fruition and be utilized just yet, but I think it will be coming into play relatively soon. The next thing to take a look at here is the fact that you need to break the downtrend on the RSI. As you can see here, that's what occurred the last couple of times. We are extremely, extremely close. The reason that I drew this downtrend like this and I didn't connect it perfectly to this high is because I wanted to draw it through the middle of these two highs to get what you would call in trigonometry, not trigonometry, in just math, a line of best fit. So I would say this is the line of best fit for this downtrend. You can see we're right there, guys. We're so close to breaking it, and if we do, that is going to be a very bullish thing. But let's also take a look at the MACD, because MACD is naturally a pretty big part of how we call and, more importantly, confirm the start of new uptrends. What did we see happen on MACD the last several times that we saw a big rally here? Well, the first thing that you saw happen were major bullish MACD crosses that led up to and actually acted predictively of these rallies. Now, the interesting thing is here, since we're looking at such long-term trends that take 30 to 60 days, probably around 45 days, the MACD on a shorter term time frame, when you're looking at what's going to happen in the next week, might be a lagging indicator. In this case, a lot of times it can actually be a leading indicator. We saw the same thing happen back here in May and June when we saw three MACD crosses right here, all bullish before the breakout. Those were signs, as the MACD was pushing to the upside, that the bulls were actually still in charge. They were just, you know, the market was resetting. We were shaking out some of the weak hands. You saw divergence here between the MACD and between the price action. That was a very bullish sign, and I believe we did talk about that back then, and we may be about to start seeing something similar. Now, we can also see over here that there was a MACD cross here on the 30th of September, which was basically the same day that we broke bullish. And what's happening right now? Well, as we've been talking about for the last week, there is a bullish MACD cross coming. We said, hey, look, it might not come. We might see another drop, and if we do, it might be pushed off a week or two. Today, we have seen a bullish MACD cross on the daily chart. What does that mean? Well, if you look on the last two corrections, what happened? Either the day of the breakout or before the breakout, there was a bullish MACD cross that acted predictively of the breakout. Hope that makes sense. I think we're seeing the exact same thing right here. And by the way, I'll also mention this. Where was the floor of this correction in June and July? $30,000. Where was the floor of this correction in September? $40,000. Where is the floor seemingly right now? About $47,000. So when you're worried about Bitcoin going into a bear market, I would ask you one simple question. If we're going into a bear market, why was it not easier for Bitcoin to push below $40,000 down to $30,000? Why are we getting seemingly so much support above 30, albeit it broke with a major long squeeze? And then why are we getting so much support seemingly here at $47,000? I don't think we're going into a bear market, but we've talked about that at length. Here is the deal, guys. The last time that we saw a bullish MACD cross this low was on the 29th of May, which was basically the bottom over here, even though we still had time to go. As far as the price was concerned, it was very close to the bottom, around 32,000. So that's my take on the current structure of the market and the comparison I would draw between this market and the last couple. But let's take a look at a couple different technical indicators. One of the first ones I want to show you is Bollinger Bands. I'm going to be brief on this because I mentioned it yesterday, but ever since the rally we saw yesterday on the Federal Reserve news that we'll go into here in a second, we've been starting to curve away from the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. That's a very good sign, because if you take a look at the history here, Bitcoin in these two cases obviously had like V bottoms. They both had a very large rally, but at some point to go into a rally, you have to start curving away from the bottom of that Bollinger Band, and then that's what we're seeing happen right now. We're kind of getting away from the Bollinger Bands. That's a good sign. We want to be getting up here towards this midline, which, by the way, the 20 simple moving average going through the Bollinger Bands, which I'll change to a different color here so you guys can see it a little bit easier. Let's see, we'll make it blue. There we go. This line right here is basically the exact same line as the downtrend I just drew. So that is another reason why we want to see Bitcoin get above that downtrend, and I want to see it pushing up to $53,000. And the last thing I'll mention here before we jump into some of our other technical analysis down on the 4-hourly chart is that $53,000 is the level I'm looking at because it is the level that we tested as support here on the 27th of November, and it is also the local high of the previous rally. If Bitcoin can get above the local high of the of 2 rallies ago, set it as support, then that is going to confirm to me that we are sitting pretty and that we're doing well. One of the things I also want to mention down here on the 4-hourly chart before we jump into Market Cipher and Lux Algo is that there is a falling wedge showing up down here. You can see that there's the downtrend right here. There's also a downtrend right here. This is technically a falling wedge. Some people are probably going to draw this as a descending triangle pattern. I don't think you should, because these bottoms here on the 4-hourly are pretty consistent. And basically what we're seeing here is that falling wedges typically break to the upside, which is what I do think is in the cards. I'm not going to say I think it's going to happen, because as I've said, I think we're going to have a little bit of a hard time in the next couple of days. But this Fed news has definitely thrown a wrench in it, because just looking here at the time frame, you can see people got pretty bullish on Bitcoin leading up to the Fed news, and then right here at 1400 hours Eastern time, 2 o'clock, Bitcoin jumped quite a bit, and so too did Ethereum, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Final thing I'll mention here, I probably said that 3 times, is that there's a bull flag down here on the hourly chart as well. That could be a reason to believe that we're about to have a pretty large rally. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look here at our Lux Algo and try and get an idea of what's going on here, because Lux Algo on the daily chart, relatively slow-moving indicator. I've told you guys several times that I'm being brief on Lux Algo here on the daily chart, because, you know, it's going to say the same thing from one day to the other. But the thing I want to point out here is that Bitcoin is also curving away from the top of the reversal zone, which is a very good sign. We are bearish, and we are under a confirmed sell signal, and we have been for a month. But here's the deal, guys. As Bitcoin pushes lower, it's pushing deeper and deeper into that little that trampoline. Like I've been saying, the deeper you push, the more force you're going to explode with. We saw that happen during these last 2 corrections. We pushed really far, and the retail kept saying, no, 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 and they got louder in their nose to the whales who were trying to push it down, and eventually they exploded, and we saw these massive rallies to the upside, and I think that's what we're going to see. Even before we continue on Lux Algo, though, I want to throw it to Tim. Tim, do you think we're going to see kind of a rounding bottom, and we're going to gradually start rallying in the next 3 weeks, or do you think we're going to see just a moonshot like we saw in late July and late September?
No, I mean, it's a rounding bottom because we've talked about on the show. There are so many signs that are almost confirming that this is what Wyckoff was talking about with an accumulation phase. You're seeing the volume confirm it. You're seeing the price action confirm it. The other day, a lot of people were worried, we're going to go even lower down to 43,000 again. And sure enough, we rallied back up here to touch a previous level of our trading channel that was resistance. Everything is going according to play to what I think might happen is at least a week, if not 2 weeks, of continual side movement before we finally hit a spring of some kind. And that's when the institutions say, we're ready for this to explode. And then boom, the price will go back up. Again, this is a smaller accumulation phase, so I'm not saying it'll go up to a new all-time high within a couple of days, but I do expect that you hit that number 53. I think we can hit that 53 very easily and then continue to go through that and start ascending back towards a new all-time high.
Well, let me throw it over to Kelly. Kelly, how big of a deal, how big of a change do you think this Fed news that came out yesterday has, not only to the market sentiment, but to the potential bottom that we're looking at on Bitcoin? Because I believed, hey, look, the bottom might be somewhere in that $40,000 to $47,000 region. We might go a little bit lower. Do you think the news of the Fed not tapering interest rate or not raising interest rates is going to change that and raise it?
Well, I think there's been an incredible amount of hesitation and uncertainty. I mean, for the last couple of years, if you really look into it, but especially with the market following the May dip and then going into the midterm rally we had, and then the dip we had again in September. But on the intermediary show that Taylor and I filled in for you during your,
which was great, by the way. Go back and watch that.
But we one of the things he brought up was one of the things that I think has been really missing, that we think is really missing from this market, that's really to give us that last full, fuel and that pump energy to really build the momentum we need, is rather than having a reprieve from FUD stories, having a big market story. And this story about the Fed, honestly, I feel like is kind of right there in the middle, because what it's really doing is releasing, because we have so many ongoing, nonstop, every day, and you see it on my Twitter every day, nonstop bullish fundamentals that are just stacking up. Even with this dip that we're having right now, we have more new wallets that are being added. It's not like people are leaving the market. All the different metrics on the on-chain data, from last active addresses to all-time highs, the lowest number of Bitcoin supply on exchanges. But why are we sitting there stagnant? Because we have this looming fear about the economic uncertainty, what's going to happen with the Fed, with the rates, with the bonds, with the stocks, all this stuff. And so this story, I think, is alleviating the pressure just enough that what I'm looking for now is to have a couple more very secure and confident large institutional buyers or whales to start making moves that will get that final really big push of sentiment and excitement to really fuel that next massive leg up.
I love it. I love it. Well, T-Shrimp, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. What do you think the bottom is going to look like in the next couple of days? Do you think that we're going to see a rounding bottom? Do you think we're going to see a big explosion?
It's in.
What's that?
I said it's in.
You think the bottom's in?
I think we've at least danced on it already. Whether or not we touch it again, I honestly think, I actually think that it's starting. I think it's going to go sideways a bit, but then start its rocket ship.
Well, what do you think about that, T-Shrimp? Where do you think the bottom is?
Yeah, I think we've got this falling wedge here. I think it's going to kind of trace and test the upper bound and the lower bound of that resistance and support. But I think ultimately we are going to break out of that very bullish when we do. I think it'll probably be aligned with some fundamentals because the technical setup is there. We just need that fundamental story, like Kelly is saying, to really launch us into the cyberspace there.
Absolutely. Well, I have one final question, and then we're going to move on to the rest of our Lux Algo TA. Smay, how many likes do we have on the stream?
We only have 665 likes.
Oh my gosh, guys. We need to get that up. We got 3,000 people watching. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Go ahead and hit that like button if you don't mind, and only if you're enjoying the show. If we can get to 1,300 likes, I'll give you a cookie. Not a real one. I'll drop a cookie emoji in the chat. Hit that like button. It helps to promote the channel and the algorithm so that more people can find this content. And by the way, the reason that we bring you this content is because we don't want to teach you what to think, which most media outlets in the world will do. We want to teach you not only what's going on, but also how to think so that you know how to process it. I want to equip you so that you can go beyond this show and do technical analysis on your own project, so that you can find on-chain metrics on your own, so that you can research these markets in a way that will help to bring you financial freedom, because I believe that financial freedom is not the gate and key, but one of the major parts of what you need to equip yourself to live a purpose-driven life. You see how it all ties together and how our philosophy works. So make sure to hit that like button and make sure to share the show with somebody that you think would get value out of it. With that said, let's jump back onto the chart and let's take a look at the 4-hourly chart on Lux Algo. And by the way, guys, quick reminder, Lux Algo does have their lifetime sale reactivated. It went up in price, but that will be ending relatively soon. So make sure to check the link down below. You can use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. I do believe that will apply to that sale. But I want to show you Lux Algo, and the reason I do is because there was a buy signal that came in on Bitcoin just about 24 hours ago, right around the time that Fed news came out. Why is this important? Well, it is the preliminary step towards having a confirmed buy signal. Remember, there's a difference between a buy signal and a confirmed buy signal. To have a confirmed buy signal, we want to see trend catcher turn green, and we also want to see Lux oscillator, which is sitting right down here on the chart, turn green as well. We've seen a buy signal, we've seen green Lux oscillator. Those two normally follow together pretty well. The final thing we need to see is a trend catcher turn green. Remember earlier when we talked about this downtrend at 53,000? Why? Well, on Lux Algo, if we were to get above $51,200, we would be above the trend catcher. I don't remember a single time in the history of trend catcher where we saw trend catcher turn green when the price was below the trend catcher. We want to get above this trend catcher, which is at 51,200. It's been trading sideways for over a week and a half now. If we get above that and rally to 53,000, it would turn green and we'd have a confirmed buy signal on the 4-hourly chart for Lux Algo. If you take a look here, we have been under a confirmed sell signal on Bitcoin ever since the 25th of November, even on the 4-hourly chart. So having a 4-hourly chart confirmed buy signal would be a good sign, and that might start jumping up the chart to a confirmed buy signal on the 6-hour, on the 8-hour, on the 12-hour, and eventually on the daily chart. Of course, every daily movement starts on the 12-hour, that starts on the 6-hour, that starts on the 4-hour, that starts on the hourly, that starts on the 1 minute. So if we see things showing up on the shorter term time frames, it can tell us quite a bit about what might be about to happen on the longer term time frames. With that said, I want to jump to one Kelly Kellum's Twitter. You guys may have heard of him before. You may have even seen his face recently. I don't know. I think he's in studio, actually. Is Kelly here? Is Kelly? Oh, yeah, he's right there. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm here in the flesh, baby.
Well, we're going to jump on over to your virtual persona, your Twitter, at Kelly Kellum. Make sure to go follow him. He's got a really interesting retweet here from TechDev52. Going ahead and pulling this up. This is very, very interesting, guys. Take a look here at what's been going on in the last several years on Bitcoin. There has been bullish RSI divergence showing up on, Kelly, is this the daily? This is the 3-daily chart. Hidden bullish RSI divergence showing up on the 3-daily chart. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on my chart to show you what this tweet is talking about. The 3-daily chart is one that you might not look at very often. I must confess, for the first 4 years of looking at technical analysis, I didn't look at it that much. But the interesting thing is here, oftentimes many things will show up on time frames that you're not looking at. It's just a rule of thumb. Whenever you're not looking at something, you can almost guarantee that something important is going to show up there. So that's why you need to look at the market from so many different angles. The 3-daily chart is not only telling us what I'm about to show you, but we can also see that there is bullish convergence coming in on the 3-daily chart MACD, which is a good sign. But the point that that tweet is making is that there is hidden bullish RSI divergence showing up here on the 3-daily chart. Basically what that means is that there's an uptrend on the lows of the 3-daily chart price action, and then a downtrend on the lows of the 3-daily chart RSI. The last time that I am aware of that we saw this happen was all the way back here, going from July to August of 2020. Guess what happened following that? Bitcoin rallied 531% within the year. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to rally 531% within the year, but I am saying Bitcoin's going to rally 531% in the next 3 years, and this hidden RSI divergence is going to be one of the things that is going to help propel us up there. And I do think that it makes a lot of sense because, to be honest with you, something that tweet left out is that there's also hidden bullish RSI divergence. Actually, excuse me, it's regular RSI divergence on the 3-daily chart right here with our lows, and then uptrending RSI right here. I showed you that on MACD on the daily chart a little while ago. It also showed up down here. This is incredibly important because if you don't know what RSI divergence is a way of showing that the levels that you are setting are confirmed because the RSI is able to go lower while the price is going higher. Basically, it means that you are getting stable at a higher level in the case of bullish RSI divergence. Now, I hear you. I know that one person in chat, I'm not looking at chat, but I guarantee you somebody's already said it. But Jebb, there's bearish RSI divergence showing up on the 3-daily chart as well. We have this massive downtrend right here. We have this massive uptrend right here. I want to throw it to Kelly. What do you think about that, Kelly? There is some massive bearish RSI divergence as well. Do you put more stock in that bullish RSI divergence or the bearish?
Well, you know, even when we were going over the TA this morning, preparing for the stream, it's interesting, even looking at Lux Algo or traditional indicators, almost every time frame you'll see when you're checking off, because, you know, anytime you're putting in a trade or making an investment, I never look at one indicator. I'm looking at multiple things, but I'll see, you know, like for instance on Market Cipher, you could have a green dot momentum wave, but your RSI is angling down, which is bearish, but then the VWAP's up, which is bullish. But so everything seems like across the board through multiple time frames, all the way up to almost a weekly, it seems like the market is case in point, like picture perfect of indecision. And not only that, you know, we're coming to this point where it's the market where we're still in a bullish structure. We haven't broken down below the last higher low, which is I think around the 3940K level. but we're also at this point where we're coming into a wedge that we need to break out of at some point. So I'm putting equal weight on both of them because it seems like everything's canceling each other out. It seems more like we're waiting for that last big push of market confidence from get those dominoes falling.
Sounds good. Well, I also want to ask T-Shroom a question here because we're about to read a headline here. Let me go ahead and read it, and then we'll throw it over to T-Shroom. And I also want to hear Tim's opinion on this. Analysts expect Bitcoin trend to change after Fed lays out its 2022 roadmap. T-Shroom, can you tell us a little bit about what the Federal Reserve is talking about doing moving into 2022 and what impact you think it's going to have on Bitcoin? We're going to go into more detail about this a little bit later, but let's paint a brief picture so that people have some idea of what's going on here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, so yesterday was a big day for global financial markets in general, but it was especially a big day for crypto. Why? Because we need to know what the Fed is doing and how they're trying to control the money supply, and crypto is ultimately trying to compete with that money supply. So what the Fed decided to do was keep the rate the same for the time being, but in 2022 they're looking to cut the amount of bonds and the amount of mortgage-backed securities that they're buying. Now, what's interesting is they're actually looking to cut the rate of bond buying less than the mortgage-backed securities. So they're gonna be cutting the bond buying by $15 billion per month, and they'll be cutting the mortgage back by $30 billion per month.
Yeah, $30 billion.
Which I don't really know what that means. It's tough to interpret. I mean, you just at the surface, that means that they think that bonds could be less stable than mortgage-backed securities, and therefore it could deserve less allotment of cash. What that means for Bitcoin ultimately is that money USD is more expensive to borrow once that starts happening, and so that'll have interesting effects. And we'll definitely be staying tuned to see how that affects it.
Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and read some super chats. And Tim, if you want to weigh in on any of that, I'd love to hear your take as well.
I mean, I have taken on actually both things.
Go for it.
I want to back up to the argument because you're right, Jebb. I think a lot of people are going to argue the bearish RSI divergence on that 3-daily chart. I was taking a look at it. That peak that people are using. What date does that correspond to? The 7th of January, right?
7th of January,
That
yes.
is nowhere near the all-time highs that we hit later on in April. So here's the thing that I have seen with RSI divergence. Are we just going to always hold that level right there for the rest of eternity? Because that's a crazy high mark on the RSI to hit. So for the rest of time, if we can't get back up to, what is that?
95, 96 almost.
If we can't get back 95, are we always in bearish RSI divergence?
It's a good point.
No. I think that point was kind of discredited, or it's been used and done with, but the fact of if you just correspond to the all-time high that we had on the 16th of April,
then it's not even RSI divergence. It's a good point.
And so actually erase all that. Let's move forward starting in June. We do not have bearish RSI divergence on the daily chart. We actually only have that bullish RSI divergence. So that's my thought about that. So anyone who thinks that that's bearish RSI divergence, I would ask you, how long does that stay in effect? My argument is I think that's been out of effect for a couple months now.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's one of the things I've talked to you about is that you have to be very careful about using extraneous data, especially outliers. 96 on the RSI is an outlier, guys. You know how ridiculously hard it is to push to 96 on the RSI? If you zoom out on the 3-daily chart, we've only gotten that high. To be honest with you, the last time we hit 96 on the 3-daily chart on the RSI was in 2013. And obviously the market was quite a bit more volatile in 2013. So you got to be careful what data you're taking in. That's one of the kind of the nuances of technical analysis. You don't want to take in data that's 10 years old if you're looking at something that only is applicable for the last 6 months. That's an extreme example, but it is important. Before we jump into super chats, I want to read a normal chat. Tyrone G, I'm going to paraphrase what he said a little bit. He said, Tim's beard has its own personality. What do you say to that, Tim?
Okay, that's I
think it's funny.
Maybe I'll be on Wendy O's show and my beard will have its own character. I've seen that in other cartoons before.
There you go.
Yeah.
What does your beard say about it?
Yeah, what does your beard say about the 3-daily chart?
My beard says that that's phooey.
Smay, I have a question for you. If Tim's beard had an accent, what kind of accent would it be?
What kind of accent?
Yeah, what kind of accent would Tim's beard have?
I think it would have like a severe speech impediment.
Okay, I was gonna say Scottish.
It could,
but
like, I don't think it'd be able to pronounce its R's, you know?
I feel like his beard would be like, "What are you doing in my swamp?" I feel like that's what his beard would say if it was a beard.
No, I feel like his beard would be like,
voice.
"What? Whoa, I'm Tim's Beard."
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
We'll go to super chats. We do.
Tim's like, this is the most awkward thing anyone's ever said to me.
We have an update to members.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Jeffrey Fritz.
Woo!
Sometimes my enemy, sometimes my friend. Depending
your
on,
enemy, you just call him
if it's
Joffrey.
college football season. So recently we've been enemies because it has been college football
Is he
season.
an FSU fan?
He is an FSU fan.
Oh, so he's wrong.
Sucks to see that move from Travis Hunter, doesn't it, Jeffrey?
Oh, no.
Those of you who follow college football know exactly what I'm talking about. Jeffrey definitely knows what I'm talking about. But Jeffrey just became a Jedi Knight. He leveled up. So welcome to a higher rank
Shout out. Thank
in the
you,
members. As far as super chats, though, we have one from Ryan Donnelly saying, what percentage of your account do you recommend just for trading?
That is, I want to throw that over to the research table also, because I know you guys are going to have a take on that. I personally have a very small percentage of it there because I'm primarily an investor nowadays. Back when I traded more, I would try and keep it below 30% just because I like having a big bag of investment. And I love the way you're thinking. That's one of the things we promote is we tell you guys, hey, split those two. Take profits from your trading portfolio, put in your investment, but never take stuff out of your investment to put in your trading. That's my philosophy anyway. I want to hear from both of you guys over there. Let's start with Kelly. What do you say to that question?
Well, let me put it this way. Had I taken the advice that I'm going to give now, I'd have almost exponentially more money in my bags than I did. But early on, I traded, I got good at trading, and I was trading with 100% of my portfolio. And that didn't serve me well. And now it's like when I do trade, I trade with anywhere from no more than 10% of my portfolio. The rest, I don't even, I know I have it, but I pretend I don't even have access to it.
Yep.
Except for maybe at the end of very long-term cycle adjustments where I might reallocate, but I don't trade with the large majority of my portfolio now. And I have more money because of it.
Yeah, and I think that's smart because a lot of people will go out and trade with, 70, 80% of their portfolio, not just in their trading portfolio, but they'll do that all on one trade. You see people that have $10 million in their entire portfolio, and they'll trade with 100 grand, and they'll use leverage not to try and take 90% of their portfolio and make it work 10 times more. They'll use leverage the way that it was actually designed to be used, which is to multiply what you can do with a tiny fraction of your portfolio.
Mitigate risk while
mitigating your risk.
Huge exposure.
Exactly. Well, what do you say to that, T-Shrim? What is your take on it?
Well, I think that the answer is kind of in the question, right? You're asking a very good methodical question. You're not just saying, how can I make the most money in a day, right? You're trying to enter into this seeking the wisdom of those who know, right? And I'd say the two main variables that you want to look into is what are your age? What's your risk tolerance? What is the consensus of the financial industry and what you should be putting into daily trades? And the other variable is just how good are you at it? How many times, like how many months in a year do you come out positive?
And you got to be real about that. It's very easy to pull real trading data and make sure that you are not lying to yourself. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm confident. Like, how do you measure that? You can measure if you're good at trading. It is a very, very easy thing to measure.
Yeah, but you also need to have two accounts. You need to have an investment account and you need to have a trading account. Some folks can do it in one, but it's much easier, and you'll be able to have more self-discipline in other areas because you won't be trying to discipline yourself in that way by having it all in one account.
Yeah, but additionally, every time you're entering a trade, you're entering yourself like you're opening up the risk matrix for negative things to happen, whether it be fat fingering something, and like the NFT that just sold for $3,000.
Oh, I saw that. That's sad.
So every time you're doing a trade, you're opening up your portfolio or whatever's in that portion of your portfolio to a huge risk. So it's like that's another reason. It's not just about good trade management, but it's also, you want to protect this money that you've been, these energies, these efforts that you've been building into that could make a huge difference in the rest of your life.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, no, I want to close out just with a thought. Ryan, here's the thing. At the end of the day, there is no perfect answer to that question, and that's just kind of rounding up what everyone just said. Every single person is different. And just to kind of clarify, that question is a great question for this channel because this is not a channel that wants to tell you what to think. A lot of people go to different places and say, oh, what exactly should I be doing? I just want to follow everything that everybody else is doing. And as long as you think like that, you'll always be second fiddle. But when you can learn how to think for yourself, and every single person's different, every person's wants are different, every person's risk assessment is different, you need to learn how to assess this by yourself and how to do it. And I hope that everything you watch on this channel and everything you see from this group of guys is not telling you what to do, but teaching you what to think about so you can decide for yourself how to think about the market.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, Tim.
All right, let's move on. We got one from One Voice 92 saying, hey, Jebb, can you explain why OTC transactions don't affect the price? Is it just equal but and selling that keeps the price static?
I think you meant buying and selling.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
so.
I can explain that to you. So the reason that the price moves, people ask this question all the time. It's a great question. I had the same one when I got into crypto. Why do OTC trades not affect the price? Well, let's first define what OTC stands for. OTC stands for over the counter. So over the counter is the institutional equivalent of me saying, hey, Kelly, I want to buy 10,000 Bitcoin from you, or $10,000 worth of Bitcoin from you. That transaction does not have any impact on something called the liquidity in an exchange or the amount of buy and sell orders on an exchange. So the way that the price moves has to do with the fact that there are buy and sell orders on exchange. If there are 10,000 Bitcoin being bought in between $50,000 and $40,000. If you buy up $10,000, and that's going to drive that down, the buy orders are only going to start down here at $40,000, and you're going to lower the price if you're selling a bunch of it. But the same thing is true. The same thing is not true on over-the-counter exchanges, where, hey, I'll go to J.P. Morgan Chase, and I'll say, hey, I want $1.5 billion worth of Apple stock or what. I'm making up names. I'm using a company that. Anyway, the point is, if you go to a institution and you have that trade, then you're not on what is called an open exchange. You're on a closed exchange, and you're making that trade in a way that is not going to manipulate the price. Yeah, go for it.
One way to think about it is, I like the example of Jebb to Tim. If Jebb wants to sell Tim some Bitcoin, that's the market. They already have the market. The liquidity pools, and look into the liquidity pools and what they are and the purpose that they serve. They are market makers. So if there's already a market, you don't need a market maker. That's the simple answer.
Yeah, and the thing that the fundamental that you need to understand how to answer that question is that price is nothing more than a conduit of information. What do I mean by that? Well, whenever you have an open market called an exchange, every time you trade, you are broadcasting the information of that trade to the world via the exchange. When you're trading over the counter, it's called a closed exchange. That's a private transaction. Nobody knows about it. So the information of the change in the price of Bitcoin doesn't go anywhere beyond you and the person you're buying or selling from. So just think about the fact that price is a method of information transfer, and then when you look at an open and a closed market, then you're going to understand why it would or wouldn't have an effect. Let's move through a couple of them pretty quickly here because we're going to need to move into Ethereum here.
Well, the truth is, based off of what we have left here, we'll save those for the end of the show, okay. And then let's move on with the show.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump into Ethereum in that case. I know you guys want to know what's going on Ethereum. I told you guys, hey, I think that Ethereum's going to drop down to $3,300. Right now, that does not look like what is playing out, and we're going to figure out, hey, am I right? Are we going to go down to $3,300, or is the bottom truly in for ETH? But let's first lay some ground rules. Not ground rules. Let's first establish a foundation that we can build off of here. Something interesting started around 11 o'clock yesterday. We saw a major rally coming into the market, and it really took off right around 2 o'clock. At the beginning of 2 o'clock of the 2 o'clock time frame yesterday, Ethereum was trading around $3,800. By the end of 4 o'clock's time frame, we had rallied all the way up to $4,100. And the reason that that's very interesting and important is because, one, Ethereum and Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency market started rallying before the Federal Open Market Committee came out and said, hey, we're not going to be raising interest rates. But two, as soon as that news came out, that rally kept going. And we saw Ethereum rally 10% in the span of just 6 or 7 hours. Bitcoin did something similar, but to a smaller degree. I think what happened is that a lot of people moving into that news, one, realized, I think that the Federal Open Market Committee is not going to raise interest rates, and that is going to likely cause more inflation on the U.S. dollar, meaning that Bitcoin and Ethereum are good places to hedge your money against inflation. But two, the second thing that happened is that moving into yesterday, we had a pretty major drop. And remember that trampoline analogy, the further down you go, the more power you're going to have exploding out of it. So it was a double whammy. People were getting excited for this Fed announcement, which was likely going to be a very bullish thing for Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. But two, we'd also just had a pretty major drop, so we rallied. So there's a big springboard. And remember what I said yesterday. Ethereum yesterday, when we shot yesterday's stream, was sitting right here. At that time, Ethereum had set a much lower high compared to the high that it is set prior. But as of today, that has changed quite a bit. And that's one of the things that you guys need to be doing on a constant basis. You need to be willing to change your tune on the fly in light of new information, because one, you don't know everything, and that's not because you're not a good trader or investor. Nobody knows everything about what the market's going to do because nobody has a crystal ball or a DeLorean and an almanac to tell you where the price is going. But what you can do is you can try and predict with some level of confidence what the market is going to do, but the only way that you're going to be as accurate as possible is by being able to update your predictions on the fly. Yesterday, I was more bearish on Ethereum because we had a significant lower high. Today, things have changed a little bit. Not only do we have a bull flag being painted here, which has a price target up above $4,300, we've also set a considerable higher high. So that is definitely going to change my tune a little bit on Ethereum, because I am going to take in new information and I'm going to use it in my predictions of where the market is going to go. But let's jump back out to the daily chart now that we've laid that foundation, and let's take a look at some of our indicators. First things first, let's look at the MACD. Similarly to Bitcoin, we are setting we are converging, and we may be about to see a bullish MACD cross coming in the next couple of days. On top of that, the MACD has been consistently setting higher lows, which is a very good thing, because that means that we are having, well, it just means we're having higher lows. That's generally a good thing on Ethereum. It means that we have not had major drops. That is a double-edged sword, though, because you need to remember a drop on Ethereum down to $3,300 would be the most healthy thing that Ethereum could undergo right now. But at the same time, the fact that it hasn't shows the resilience in the cryptocurrency market. Even though gas fees are crazy high, the amount of activity on the Ethereum network is equally high. That's why the gas fees are so high. And the amount of activity on Ethereum is what drives value to Ethereum, or at least in large part. So the fact that it is holding steady and has only dropped 20%, whereas Bitcoin only dropped 25%, excuse me, whereas Bitcoin has dropped, 40%, shows us that Ethereum is more confident at $4,000 than Bitcoin is at $47,000, which bodes well for the next 3 months on Ethereum. And when I told you guys a while back I can see a $7,000 to $8,000 Ethereum by the end of this cycle, I still firmly believe that that is going to be the case. Now, another thing I want to show you here on the RSI is not only that we have an uptrend on the bottoms of the RSI on daily chart, but also that we have bullish RSI divergence forming. Now that we have some kind of bottom coming in here on the daily chart, you can see that there is a slight uptrend showing here on the RSI, and there is a pretty confirmed downtrend here on the lows of the daily chart. But I do also want to temper that, the bullishness that you'll feel from that, with the fact that we have set 4 consecutive lower highs before I start getting too confident that we're out of the woods on Ethereum and that we've actually set a bottom down here at $3,600, which was that first level of support we were looking at a week ago. Before I get too confident on that, I want to see a daily candlestick close above $4,200, because that is, one, the previous all-time high, or excuse me, $4,400 is, but the previous all-time high on candle bodies is $4,200, and 2, it would be a confirmed higher high above the high that we set here on the 12th of December. All of that to say, let me wrap that up in a bow so it's not as confusing. Essentially what we're looking at right now on Ethereum is that it has set a bottom at 3680. It is having rounding bullish MACD, and it does have bullish RSI divergence. So it looks like it's in a bullish setup, but to confirm that bullish setup, we want to see it get above $4,200. That is at least my take on it. If we take a look here at the Bollinger Bands as well, we are currently getting close to the Bollinger Band's center line, which, by the way, is at $4,200. So if we want to see Ethereum go into a confirmed uptrend, we also need to see it get above that middle line on the Bollinger Bands. To do that, it needs to get above $4,200. So if you think Ethereum is going into a rally, we're not there yet. Getting above $4,200 would give you at least slight confirmation that we are moving in that direction. Now, one of the other things I want to mention to you on the hourly chart is that the RSI is sitting up here quite well. But the thing you also want to keep in mind on the hourly chart is that there is some bearish RSI divergence coming in right here. You can see there's a downtrend on the RSI and there's an uptrend on the tops. So just be careful of that. I really want to see if this bull flag that we're painting right now is going to manage to break to the upside or to the downside. If we Bart Simpson down here, then my prediction of $3,300 on Ethereum is starting to look a lot more likely, in keeping with those downtrending levels that we've seen on the daily chart. But let's go ahead and take a look here at Lux Algo, take a look at what it's doing. Remember, guys, Lux Algo is a sponsor of the channel. You can get 20% off with coupon code Jebb, and there is a lifetime sale going on right now. Instead of having to pay monthly, you would get it for life. That sale will not be lasting forever, and it will be ending relatively soon. So check the link down below if you are interested in that. But Lux Algo, what is it saying? Lux Algo is telling us a couple of very interesting things. Number one, we're in a confirmed downtrend with that sell signal. We have been ever since the 15th of November. That's one of the reasons I like Lux Algo, because remember to what I talked about if you watched ATB yesterday, there are 3 types of markets. There's primary markets, secondary markets, tertiary markets. The primary markets are our bull and our bear markets. The secondary markets are corrective movements that go against that trend. So if we're in a bull market and we're going down, that's a secondary downtrend. It's a corrective movement from the uptrend, the primary uptrend, which is the bull market. The thing I like about Lux Algo is it is very, very good at telling us which one of those secondary movements we're in. Are we in a secondary uptrend that is in keeping with the primary bull market, or are we in a secondary downtrend which is antithetical to the uptrend. Right now, you can see that just as soon as we entered this secondary downtrend, Lux Algo told us, and we knew that we were in that secondary downtrend. That's why I like Lux Algo. And the thing I want to show you on the daily chart is that we are still in that secondary downtrend, and we have not gotten out of the woods yet. On top of that, if you look at the EQ cloud here, you can see that a bearish cross may be coming relatively soon, and if that occurs, then that is going to be a bearish sign. But I also don't want you putting too much stock in that, because we did see that happen back here in October of 2021, and then we did end up going bullish as well. So I just wanted to update you on that. We do want to see Ethereum get above $4,200 here as well, based on our Lux Algo TA, because Lux Algo is telling us that $4,200 is our EQ cloud. Depending on whether we're above or below that, we are in an uptrend or a downtrend. Getting above that would be a lot of confirmation for me that we are moving in the right direction. Moving down here to the 4-hourly chart, we can also see that there was, I believe, a buy signal down here. Yeah, there was a buy signal. It was not a strong buy signal. These are purple candlesticks, but this is the first time we've seen a buy signal since the 6th of December. But just like we saw on Bitcoin, it has not been confirmed yet with a trend catcher turning green. But Lux Oscillator is green, so we're only one confirmation away from having a confirmed uptrend starting on the 4-hourly chart. And by the way, we're quite a bit above the Lux Lux Algo trend catcher down here. So if this does turn green, which it hasn't been green since the 3rd of December, we would have a confirmed uptrend forming on the 4-hourly chart, and that does mean quite a bit to me. If we see that happen, I will be the first to tell you. So make sure you tune into the show for that. Now, let's also take a look here at the ETH BTC chart, because there's something very interesting happening. We're having a breakout right now, not only on the short-term time frames, but also on the daily chart. This market is the Ethereum over Bitcoin price action chart. It shows you what Ethereum is worth in relation to Bitcoin. So right now, Ethereum is worth 0.0839 Bitcoin. So basically what that means is that one Ethereum is worth 8.39% of what Bitcoin is worth. And you can see Ethereum has been consistently outperforming Bitcoin since Christmas of 2019. It used to be worth 1.8% of what Bitcoin is worth. Now it's pushing 10%. Ben said on Around the Blockchain yesterday he could see it going to 10 to 15% of what Bitcoin is worth. And to be honest with you, I completely agree with him for once. I think we could see that happen. We had this massive long-term wedge that we were sitting in, and symmetrical triangle pattern that we were sitting in, and Ethereum broke bullish out of it, and now it has been backtesting, and it's actually confirmed this downtrending level of resistance as support, which is a great sign. But also looking down on the 4-hourly chart, you can see that we were in a falling pattern right here, a falling wedge, and we've broken bullish out of it as well. So when I told you earlier that I think Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin over the next 3 months, this chart just backs that up, and I think that's what we're going to see happen over the next couple of months. But let's go ahead and move back into a segment of discussion. Let's check in with the chat and read some super chats. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 2K likes. We have some amazing people on today, Kelly and T-Shroom. Let's drop a like for them, guys. Let's do it.
Not to drag us back too far, but I want to be very fair to these two projects with the TA the way we do them. So could you go back to your Ethereum chart, Jebb, just so everyone can see it, and go to your 3-day chart, because we spent a little bit of time looking at the 3-day chart on Bitcoin, and especially the RSI divergence. And I wanna sit here and explain there's a big difference between what we're seeing on these two charts.
Oof, there is. I see it.
So first of all, we do not see bullish RSI divergence on Ethereum the way we saw it on Bitcoin. Instead, if you look at the 2 dates, the September 4th and November 6th,
yeah,
these are not the exact same dates of the peaks of Bitcoin, but they're right around the same time frames. We do not see bearish RSI divergence on Bitcoin, but yet we do see it here
we see
on
it doubled
Ethereum.
up. We see 2 of them.
Right, so when you look at the smaller time frames, I'm very glad. On the 4-hourly chart, we see bullish RSI divergence. I do think Ethereum's going to see a nice little rally here for the next couple of days. But when we zoom out, we're not seeing the same picture on Ethereum that we're seeing on Bitcoin. That doesn't mean it's a death sentence for Ethereum, that Ethereum definitely has to drop back down to levels that we've said potentially it could, either 30, 32, or 27. However, if people are just sitting here saying, oh, Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing the same thing, no, they are not. They have been doing different things for a while, despite the fact that the price action has looked semi-similar. It goes back to the point, look at what Ethereum over Bitcoin is doing. We have seen Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin for a while now, and depending on how you draw that chart, there's an ascending wedge pattern happening on Ethereum over Bitcoin that potentially is about to get ruined, and we're going to see it fall back down to Bitcoin taking more dominance. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. Don't just think these two charts are being identical.
Yeah.
There's actually a much more bearish story for Ethereum than there is for Bitcoin right
Well, I
now.
want to hear T-Shrum's take on that. T-Shrum, we have a lot of technicals, such as some of the things on ETH BTC and some of the things over on the Ethereum chart that seem to be bullish, and we also have quite a lot of fundamental reason to believe that Ethereum is bullish right now. I will cite all of the development going on Ethereum, the fact that there's over $250 million locked up on decentralized applications that run on Ethereum. But as Tim pointed out, we do have a rising wedge on the Ethereum BTC chart, and we do have bearish RSI divergence on the Ethereum US dollar chart. Which one do you think is going to win, the bearish technicals or the bullish fundamentals?
I think that it's tough to answer that question, right? Because I think that we are still kind of in that period of uncertainty. I think we got a good decision from the Fed yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Good for Bitcoin.
I think what's really interesting is you are starting to see a divergence between kind of the patterns of Bitcoin and Ethereum, which kind of historically have run in tandem. What I'm interested in seeing emerging is potentially if we're starting to see the market associate different use actually with these different coins, as Ethereum has been kind of touted as kind of like the utility coin, like you can build things on it, and while the gas fees are coming down, and whereas Bitcoin is kind of the new gold, kind of the new investment, that you would anticipate appreciating a whole lot. So I'm kind of seeing that decoupling, that disintegration almost of the two coins, and really starting to be interested by that.
Well, that's interesting. Well, let me ask Kelly a question, then we'll read some super chats here. Kelly, do you think that as we move into the next 3 to 5 years, let's take kind of a long picture on this, do you think we're going to see Ethereum and Bitcoin stop following each other so closely? Because they move different percentages, but if you overlay those two markets on top of each other, every top is within a month of every top, and every bottom is within a month of every bottom. Do you think that's going to change a lot as their utility starts to diverge even more, their perceived utility?
Well, I think there's going to be a sort of eternal correlation within the market. Similar, like if you look at a traditional stock market, the Dow Jones or NASDAQ or something like that. But when you look within the tech market, for instance, in a traditional stock, they will diverge, stock for stock. But in terms of the macro trends, the macro trends might be the thing that stay the strongest correlated. But when you're looking at the day-to-day, like for instance, in the last few days, as you saw on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, Ethereum has been breaking out more aggressively than Bitcoin has. Well, that also is going to show that within that the market patterns and such, and the fundamentals that are underlying Ethereum, at some point the momentum is going to shift where the money's going into Bitcoin. So does it necessarily mean, basically I guess my answer is it boils down to what level you zoomed in onto the chart. Are you looking at a difference in the 15-minute chart patterns? But if you look at a quarterly or an annual chart pattern or monthly, the correlation is going to be very, very similar. But I do think, especially going into the next cycle, next 2 cycles probably, there's going to be a lot of ability to play the markets between each other, more so in the past because they were so connected. But now, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum being probably the 2 most blue chip style, most established coins, I think big institutional money will start, because they're both safe in that sense, be playing them against each other, basically an arbitrage between the 2 projects. But the major correlation, I think, is going to stay.
That is going to lead to a lot of, and I'll say this, and then we need to read some super chats. That's going to lead to a lot of resiliency in the cryptocurrency market. If whenever a bear market hits, people don't only have the one option of exiting and going into stable coins or into US dollars and going into the stocks, but during a bear market in Bitcoin, the Ethereum market's in a bull market. So if those 2 markets do start to diverge like Kelly thinks and like I think, that's a very bullish thing because it means that the overall market capitalization of the cryptocurrency sector, I stopped calling it an industry a while ago because it is a lot of industries coming together, then the entire thing can continue to chug to the upside without having any major dips. Let's go ahead and read some super chats though.
Yeah, we have one from Leon the Dutch who says, hey guys, yesterday after the Fed announcement, there was a whale minted 1 billion USDT at Tether Treasury. Thus, this affects the Bitcoin market, ? And is this composite man?
Kelly, you saw that the minute it happened because you were over and you told me about that. What is your take on that?
Well, my thoughts are on it when you get a large printing when you get a large, for instance, on Tether, you know, you get a huge printing, whether it be a billion or start seeing consecutive 100 million printing. And I have to be very honest, I don't know entirely what the entire underlying structure is with how they choose and pick when they're minting these, but I've seen a direct correlation to when those large mints happen. In a way, I feel like part of it's an anticipation for large moves to come. But in order to facilitate a lot of the trades that happen on the different exchanges, and if USDT is locked up in various places, in order to facilitate those trades to happen, that there has to be just like when when we have the whatever's happening in the last economically with the money printing in the U.S. You know, in order to have the funds to do certain things, you have to have the printing of the funds to happen. So it's a similar sort of thing. I think it's bullish.
Well, according to modern theory, you have to, but you know, ideally we wouldn't have to print money to do things. But of course, we like to have $30 trillion of debt, so I guess we gotta keep doing it.
It's good for Bitcoin.
It's good for Bitcoin. It's very good for Bitcoin because it's bad for the dollar. But when it's bad for the dollar, it might be good for Bitcoin, but it might not be good for you because a lot of your wealth is probably in U.S. dollars. So it's just it's a mess. But that's why Bitcoin is here to save the day.
Gotcha. Now we have a couple super chats that are a little non-topical. Just so you guys know, sometimes I separate topical chats and then ones that you guys want to have shout outs. So here we got one from the Barn Walker saying, "You the man. I love your channel and Merry Christmas." Thanks so much, man. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas,
Speaking
guys.
of Christmas, Smay, what are you gonna get me for Christmas?
Well, that's
On the
a
spot.
secret I'm not gonna tell. But
What do you want me to get you for Christmas?
What? No, I'm not saying that either. But
You have to tell me what you want for
well, I
Christmas.
do. That's true. I need to tell
I don't
you
know
that.
what to get.
But no,
Why
I'm-
is that a
You're
secret?
supposed
That's
to be
not a
thoughtful.
secret.
You're supposed
But
to be
hold on.
secret from your heart.
That does lead me to something I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to say, guys, are you struggling to find a good Christmas gift for your loved one who's a crypto enthusiast? Well, look no further. Jebb, why don't you pull up our merch site? I want
will
to show
do
you
that,
guys.
Smay.
We have a large variety of wonderful crypto enthusiast merch.
I will go to the greatest
Oh,
website
look
in
at
human
that.
history,
Look at that.
cryptojebb.com/merch.
I'm telling you, show him the Smay on a Ladder shirt specifically.
Yes, I love the Smay on a Ladder
If this
shirt.
doesn't tickle your toes, I don't know what will.
By the way, that's the one, Smay. I want you to get me the Smay on the ladder.
Oof.
Yes.
for
Look
Christmas.
Look
at
at that
that.
mug.
Look at that
I would
mug.
drink coffee
That
and do
is-
some crypto out of that all day.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful stuff. My brother actually just sent me a text while we were live saying he just ordered his merch.
Woo!
So
Let's go.
let's go, guys. Come on.
Let's go. Get that Smay on a Ladder merch. It'll go fast. We also got some others here from Smay and Tim. I love this merch. This is the Smay. Can you shout out the person who made this?
Yes. Zach Bradley.
Zach Bradley. Zach
Oh,
Bradley.
I
Look at
think
this.
I'm gonna get Zach Bradley a Christmas gift.
You should.
too. I'm gonna think about.
Look at this. Look at this hoodie. And by the way, this is some high quality stuff. Like this is
Oh,
like
yeah.
100% cotton. The reason that we literally, there are so many different sets of quality that you can source merch for. We literally were just like, okay, we're just gonna go for the highest. We just want the highest quality merch. This is some dope stuff. You guys are gonna be very comfortable in it. We had some come into the office when we are very impressed by it.
Can I make a comment as well?
Sure.
Yes.
For any of you, those of you out there, maybe you have merch, maybe you don't want merch, maybe regardless, if you've ever found or heard one thing on this channel that's either brought you a smile, brought you knowledge, made you feel inspired about your own future journey in crypto or learn it in any regard, the biggest Christmas gift you could give us is just share us on any of your social media. Share
Yeah,
it out.
Just watch the show. Yeah. Yeah.
We appreciate that, guys. Look, the awesome stuff that we're doing. Like, by the way, check out the channel trailer that Zach made. He's one of our editors around here. This channel trailer is insane. Like, if you guys haven't watched this, you should go check out my Twitter. I've watched this thing like 20 times.
It's awesome.
It is so freaking cool.
The blue steel walk.
Go watch that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then let's try and get that to 500 retweets. We really appreciate you guys. Look, we would not be here without your support. And the number of, just speaking personally here, the number of amazing people I've met, like the 4 people in this room, and all of the people that work with us here through what we do here, I literally posted on Twitter the other day, I'm the luckiest man alive, and people are like, what, did you like have a kid or something, or did you get married? And I'm like, no, I just have an awesome job and I love what I do, and I thank you guys so much for that. But let's go ahead and move in. Actually, we got a couple more minutes for some super
Let's
chats.
do a couple, because we got one from Joser 2001. Just want to say Meta Hero, so I'm assuming he's asking to talk about Meta Hero. Does anyone have a thought on that before I move on?
I don't.
Meta Hero?
Let's Meta Hero. Well, we'll move on. We'll look into that in the future. Eddie Rojas just wanted to donate. That he gave twice. My bad, Eddie. He gave twice though, and the second one said, "Any thoughts on Sologenic?"
I haven't heard of it. Does anybody else here have?
Why are you playing this?
Sorry, I just because
what
no
do
one
you
has
play?
any
The
thoughts.
crickets?
Buttons.
Sologenic?
That's Smay with his buttons again.
Smay with his buttons.
Oh,
As much time as I'm sure everybody in this room is, I mean, so many innumerable hours we spend diving into crypto.
There's so many of them.
It is so hard to keep track of the thousands and thousands of coins. Sometimes people will mention something, and I look into it, and it'll actually be like a large project, and I can't believe I've never heard of it. But
well, I set a goal for myself for the end of next year. I want to be able to confidently speak on the top 100 coins, which is going to be a big challenge, but I'm going to try and do that. So if it's in the top 100, come back a year from now and I'll probably know about it. But I appreciate the super chat.
Yeah, we have one from Crypto Swain saying, any thoughts on NFT worlds? It's a combination of Minecraft and Metaverse. I see a huge amount of potential, especially with Minecraft's player base.
Yeah, that's dangerous for me. I don't need to go anywhere near that. I'm going to spend way too much time on that. I was one of the original players of Minecraft. I played Minecraft in the beta. That's how long I've been playing Minecraft.
Can I just say, what's dangerous, and dangerous for the space, is as soon as Minecraft itself actually like starts opening up into blockchain.
Oh gosh, it's game.
You know what was the metric that you just saw? How many views now total?
Yeah, yesterday YouTube celebrated 1 trillion Minecraft video views.
Oh, we calculated it too.
Yeah, we calculated
1.9 million years
of watch
worth
time.
of watch time.
Which, just for context, this entire channel has 300 years of watch time. Like that's ridiculous.
Oh, can I also say this was like kind of another thing too? Minecraft, and also I thought about it. Imagine if Pokemon Go or like Pokemon had NFTs. That would be incredible. That would be amazing.
We need to have somebody set up a Crypto Go to where just like the Pokemon
Crypto Go. Somebody needs to make that.
Where
you go
around.
find NFTs. Yeah,
you go find NFT. That's a good idea.
Well, no, because here's the thing. I'm not trying. I don't mean to drag it on, but like Pokemon cards, like the cards go for like millions of dollars. So it's like, imagine if like
original NFTs.
They combine Pokemon Go, like you go catch an NFT. You know what I mean? That'd be crazy. So incredible.
There is one called Beamon, and I think Beamon is trying to do something similar with that.
Oh, interesting.
Pretty popular.
This business decision is copyrighted to the. So if anybody wants to license us,
let's go ahead and move here into some discussion about the Fed, because we want to figure out what the Federal Reserve's decision yesterday is going to do to the market, especially in the next 7 days. So I have a question for everyone here. I'm going to start with Tim. Does the Fed's decision create more or less of an incentive for new adoption in cryptocurrency?
Short term, more. We talked about this yesterday. I actually have it. Do we clip that segment, Smay, that I talked about this yesterday?
No,
we didn't. Oh, all right. Well, I
can clip it today if you want. Yeah.
At the end of the day, these lower interest rates will be beneficial short term for crypto. Long-term wise, though, it's not good for the economy, and crypto is part of the economy. I think that crypto will end up being part of the solution, but the whole reason crypto is so valuable, and I urge all of you guys to go read the Bitcoin Standard, where Safdie Anonymous talks about this. He talks about throughout history when interest rates are low, they get lowered with the thought of, oh, let's make it easy for people to borrow. Let's make it easy to stimulate the economy. And it might do it short term, but it ends up screwing up the future generations. Versus when we have a higher interest rate, it causes people to be way more conservative with their money. Think twice before they just go and borrow millions of dollars. There's less debt that ends up going to the economy, and it actually spurs long-term economic growth.
And you guys want to know where this culture of instant gratification that we live in today is? It comes from monetary policy that was set 100 years ago of starting to inflate the crap out of your currency to pay for things like the First World War, the Second World War. It even happened back during the Civil War in America. People don't realize this. We went off the gold standard officially in 1971, but we've been going off of it ever since 1860. We have been messing with the gold standard for a very, very long time, and we have created this culture of, I might as well spend my money because it's going to be worth a tenth of what it's worth now in 50 years, and that's where this culture of instant gratification comes from. That's why we're constantly trying to teach you guys not to fall into that culture. Smay, I want to hear your opinion on this. What do you think the state of the dollar after the Federal Reserve's decision yesterday is going to have? What impact do you think not raising interest rates is going to have on Bitcoin?
I mean, hopefully positive effects. I mean, honestly, I'm not too well versed on this. I will admit it. I'm not too well versed on this. But ultimately, I think just the way you look at it, the dollar is, I mean, how else do I put this? Not in a good state. It's kind of garbage. And eventually, Bitcoin is going to prove itself as a better alternative. So anything that makes the dollar more poopy is the better Bitcoin's going to do.
Well, T-Shroom, you wrote this question, so what do you think about it?
I think the important thing to remember is the Fed announcement brought by Jerome was bittersweet. So the sweet part in the short term, at least, to Tim's point, is that the rate stays the same, right? So money is still cheap, right? But the sour or bitter part is that the taper is going to double. So back in November of this year, the Fed went ahead and announced that they're going to begin the taper in 2022, right? Which is what we're about to step into. And yesterday, the bitter part is that they announced that they're going to be doubling the rate at which they taper, which is ultimately negative for like markets like the stock market and for crypto theoretically. So that's the bitter pill. And if you want to do any further research
in the short term, it's bad for it.
You know what's going to happen is, unfortunately, it's going to get it to a place where the only people that will be able to invest in crypto will be people with a lot of wealth, and the average, less, I don't know if people would say this, with person with less money, that's just how it is not. They have to be very tightly wound, and they have to hold on to as much as possible because they need to continue to put food on the table. Whereas these billionaires and millionaires don't have to worry so much. So for them, they can go ahead and think about the future and say, you know what? I'm going to prepare for my future and move this into something that's more stable. But the whole purpose of crypto was to help the little guy, to help actually not be this massive exchanging of forced movement of money, but it's to give a fair shot to someone who wasn't born with a silver spoon in their mouth to be able to have economic success. And things like this are going to discourage people from getting into crypto and encourage very wealthy institutions to get into it.
Well, let me ask Kelly a question here based on a message in chat. Link Hashgraph said, I like how Powell may have just given us a time estimate for the beginning of the bear market. Kelly, do you think that Jerome Powell and this kind of the schedule for 2022 gives us any idea of when the bear market for Bitcoin is going to actually happen now?
Absolutely. I mean, and just kind of synthesize similar things with what all of you have said. At the end of the day, I think it's, in a way, it's kind of like a nice little cheat sheet that he's given that info. But at the same time, I think it's really just punting responsibility. He's kicking the can down the field, and I don't want to get this into a political discussion, but at the end of the day, when you have, it doesn't matter the side of the fence you're on, but when you have people making decisions that are based on what, influence on whether or not they're going to be reelected or not, or supported by the people that would reappoint them, that changes the dynamic of what's best, the best monetary decision to be made. So I just think it's just a shirking of responsibility. But absolutely, I think when this tapering kicks in and the interest rates shift and we have a roadmap for that, I think there's going to be a lot of front running. It'll be really interesting to watch the market leading up to that to see if it'll be a pump into it or just a pre-dump. Basically speculating on the selling the news and selling the rumor.
Well, Tim, let me ask you one more question, then we're going to read some super chats here. Do you think whatever is good for the dollar is bad for Bitcoin, and whatever is bad for the dollar is good for Bitcoin?
No, because I think the dollar is already on a dying trajectory. So, the reason why I think it's good that the U.S. dollar has some pumps from time to time is because I still care about people. As much as we love crypto, I still the thought of Bitcoin price going up because institutions buy it and not retailers, that is not a good sign to me. Despite the fact that I'm a large holder of Bitcoin, despite the fact that my wealth will go up because I'm heavily invested. And a lot of you people, a lot of the people watching here will, the knowledge that people will be losing not just money, they'll be starving, they will go into their own little depressions of life where there could be a lot of life lost. That's never a good thing. However, I do think that the U.S. dollar is slowly dying, and that is the purpose of this channel, is to help people transition into the coming world where we're going with cryptocurrency. You see countries talking about this, all governments. We just saw Australia. They are literally creating digital currency because they see the future. China obviously is doing that. India is doing that. I mean, the truth is, what major countries are not looking into digital currency because they see it's the future? Meanwhile, a lot of retail investors are eating the FUD up and saying, no, I'm going to stick with my US dollar and I'll be healthy here, and don't come crying to me when your Bitcoin goes to zero. And it's the exact opposite. They're going to come crying when the dollar goes to zero, and they missed out on crypto. They missed out on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. And that I don't relish that. I'm not going to be well, we told you. So it's going to be man, why didn't you listen?
Yeah.
How can I help you? But unfortunately, we've just put ourselves in an economic crisis where it's going to be really hard to help massively. So I will never relish in the U.S. dollar going down because it will hurt a lot of people, but I do know it's coming.
Take a look at my chart really quickly here. If you look at the global reserve currencies, Spain had global reserve currency status from 1530 to 1641. Let's call that 111 years. The Netherlands, believe it or not, had world reserve currency status from 1642 to 1720. France had it for 95 years from 1720 to 1850. The United Kingdom had it from 1815 to 1920. That was 105 years. The United States has had world reserve currency status since 1920. It's been 101 years, and with all the writing on the wall, I really do have to wonder if the next 20 years the U.S. dollar is going to maintain all of the power that it currently has. But let's try and get through some of these super chats because I want to make sure we get them all read before we wrap it out.
We have a couple here. One from Corey saying, hey guys, just wanted your opinion on the lengthening cycles and if you think we're in one.
I absolutely think we're in one. I think if we weren't in one, then the all-time high would be in 2 months, and I'd be very surprised to see Bitcoin going to where I think the all-time high will be, which is I would put around $200,000 to $250,000 in February at this point. So yeah, I absolutely think we're in a lengthening cycle.
Possible, just kind of ridiculous.
Possible, just unlikely.
So I responded to this one in chat, but because he asked in a normal chat, but Devarati, I don't know how that one's pronounced. Roy said, Jebb, Smay, can you share an email ID where I can communicate?
Yep.
That's easy. Support@cryptojebb.com, and anything that is directed at Jebb or me or Smay or T-Shroom or Kelly will be sent to them indirect. We don't want to give out our individual emails, otherwise we'd get bogged down. But you can always email our support team, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
If there's 1,000 emails in a day, we're not going to be able to get back to all those in that day. But
we're working on it.
Jesse Marshall said, Smay, I think he's saying Smay. It's SMH. Sma. Christmas is, okay. Sma. Let me look at it. I'm going to go ahead and not read that one.
I was going to say.
As much as I loved, I'm doing a better job of proofreading these.
Good job.
Thank you. I speak them out
Gotta
over
be
the
careful.
interwebs. Will Rose III said, Geno pets on Solana will be like Pokemon Go.
No. Sorry. The reason why I said what I said was I meant specifically Pokemon because of the history behind it. It has a lot of nostalgia to it. I think it would be a powerful force. I think somebody making a knockoff Pokemon is not going to succeed.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't have a brand weight behind it.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Yeah, it's just not going to
the
work.
same thing. Jimmy James, last one I see here, said, love this team. You lads are going places.
Oh.
Thanks for all the help you all give this old man. God bless.
God bless you, man. That is a great super chat to wrap out on. Guys, if you enjoyed today's stream, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to go follow all of these fine gentlemen in chat. They can put their social medias in chat. I'm not going to go around the room and have them all say it because we'll be here for like 2 minutes doing that. Yeah. But make sure to go follow everybody. I think most of the links are down below. Make sure to, you guys, put your social medias in chat. And because we got a lot of great content over there. I just passed 40,000 followers on Twitter. Going for that 100K over on Twitter as well. Make sure to go and follow all of us. Make sure to check out the merch and make sure to sign up for Lux Algo's lifetime membership sale. You saw it in use today. You've seen why it is an indicator that everybody in this room chooses. Even though we're sponsored by them, we would use Lux Algo every single day, even if we had absolutely no affiliation with them. I love the indicator. It is one of my favorites. If you sign up for it down below, not only will you be getting access to a tool that is going to help make you more profitable, you're also going to be supporting this show, so thank you very much. And make sure to subscribe. I'll tell you why. We are bringing you educational and informational content every single day, and we're not trying to teach you what to think like everybody else. We're trying to teach you how to think so that you can go beyond this channel and really be an independent, thoughtful trader and investor and find the financial freedom that I know is waiting for you. Guys, thank you so very much for watching. We will be back 9:30 Eastern sharp tomorrow. We're never even a minute late, and I can't wait to see your smiling faces once again. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.